Welcome to this week's episode of Cooking with Connie. Well, this week is another one for my shape friends, and so this is going to be a shape approved. Let me see if I get this right. French onion, beef, faux potato baked. All right, that's a mouthful. But everything that I've done to modify this recipe is to make it shape compliant. I did trial this on my husband over the weekend, and he went back for seconds, so we know that's a thumbs up from him. So what I've got, I'm starting with one chopped onion in here, and I have it thinly sliced. So you don't want to chop it, you want to thinly slice it for the first part of this. Now remember, when you're sauteing vegetables, we're not going to use oils. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use about 1/4 of a cup of my beef broth. Again, make sure that there's no sugar in your beef broth. And we're going to use that to saute our onions here. So we'll get this started. Let's check to make sure I got the right one turned on here. All right, so we're going to take a little bit of time to get these sauteed up until they're kind of clear color. Then what we're going to do is we're going to add 1.5 pounds of ground beef to that and saute all that up. So as we're starting to cook this, I'll come back when we go to season it, so you can kind of, I know everybody knows how to brown hamburger, that's not hard, so I'm not going to make you watch me do that. But when I start to do the seasoning with it, I'll come back and we'll kind of show you what we're doing with that. Okay, see you just in a little bit. All right, guys, we're back. We've got our beef brown. What I'm doing is I put a teaspoon of my garlic powder, and I put a teaspoon of my onion powder, and then I'm going to put a teaspoon of the ground black pepper. Now, it also says to do salt. I am not going to do salt because the beef broth has a lot of sodium in it, and I feel like it's better to salt it after the fact, so I'm not adding any salt to this. You can if you want, because it's salt to taste. All right, so we're going to stir that up. Now, the other thing that I'm going to do, so I'm going to use this, I've got this rice cauliflower risotto, so it's basically just a rice cauliflower. It's got chopped up asparagus and chopped up mushrooms in there. So I'm going to heat that up in the microwave for 6 minutes, and then I'm going to drain it really good with my cheesecloth. Because that's the one thing, if you're using rice cauliflower in a casserole, if you do not drain it really good, you're going to end up with a watery casserole. So we're going to heat that up, drain that. We're going to put that in the bottom of this pan. Then these are my chopped radishes, so this is my faux potatoes. You're not going to know these are not potatoes once I put this all together, all right? So we're going to have this, then we're going to layer the radishes, the beef, beef, and we're going to pop it in the oven. The other thing that I'm going to do, I've got my beef broth here. We're going to take 2 cups of beef broth, and I'm going to put 2 tablespoons of arrowroot in it to make like a gravy type thing to thicken it. Because we're not using potatoes and we're using radishes, we're not going to have quite that starch. So the potato starch would kind of thicken up your beef broth. So I'm going to pre-thicken it and make more like a gravy, and that's going to be poured over it. So kind of give you an idea of what's going to happen here. But let me get this heated up. We'll come back and we'll kind of do the layering process and show you what we're doing then, okay? All right, guys, we're ready to assemble this bake now. So I've got my radishes here. I'm going to put half of those on the bottom here. So we'll just spread those out. Try to get them evenly so that we get our faux potatoes in every bite. And I put that, this is 2 bags of this already cooked, and then I again used the cheesecloth to get the liquid out of it, the extra water. All right, then we're going to sprinkle our beef, and this is our beef and onion mix here. So this is going to go on top of that. So put half of that on there. I'll spread it out. Then this pan here is where I've done my beef broth, and then I put just 2 tablespoons of arrowroot, and I cooked that up. Now, if you've not worked with this kind of stuff before, what you really want to do when you're doing this is take part of your beef broth and separate it out with the arrowroot in a separate dish, then heat the beef broth, then add the arrowroot to it and stir it well. That keeps you from getting those clumps in it. So this one turned out beautiful today. We got a nice clump-free gravy that we put over there. So now I'm going to do my next layer here. We'll finish this up with just putting some foil on it, and we're going to put it in a 350-degree oven, and we're going to bake it for 45 minutes. And then the last step will be to add some of our lovely manchego cheese that we're going to grate up to the top of it. And this is one of those things that if you wanted, you could make it up on the weekend and have it ready to just pop in the oven for the weeknight meal. So if you're food prepping, this is a good way to do that. So just some ideas on how you can kind of make your life easier and get some really good tasty meals in for your family with lots of veggies. Veggies are a part that I find that a lot of people have struggled with getting their vegetables in. So we've got in here, we've got radishes, we've got our cauliflower, we've got asparagus, and then we've got our mushrooms. So those are all going to count towards our veggie count. Okay, I'm just trying to put this evenly over it so that we get that. Alright, so I'm going to cover it with foil and put it in the oven. And we'll come back when we get to the next steps of this. And this is going to be another yummy dish for you to add to your repertoire. Okay, see? Alright guys, so we finished this up, and what we did, we took it out after 45 minutes. We put about a cup of manchego cheese, shredded sheep cheese on top of it. Put it back in for another 15 minutes, and then we'll kind of let it set up to cool just a little bit. Here's your finished product. So this is going to have loads of veggies in there and just be a really delicious, like I said, you could make it up over the weekend and then just throw it in the oven and bake it one night when you're in a hurry, especially if you've had to go back to work lately and are working in the office again. So this would be an easy meal prep thing to do. So remember to like, share, subscribe to Cooking with Connie for all your gluten-free, sugar-free cooking needs. And remember this week to make some good choices.